Take up your bed and walk. The Master Teacher. Statement of God. Jesus is not teaching anything which has not been said before. If I were to use the Pharisaical reference, you have a tendency to think that the Pharisee somehow is the denier of Jesus. In truth, the Pharisee is the deviant. Pharisee means deviant. Did you know that? Pharisees taught reincarnation. Pharisees taught transmigration of the soul directly. This is kind of fun, if you would like to hear it. That's the fact of the matter. So the Pharisees were the deviants, just as the Methodists were deviants, or anyone who admits to the possibility of your own participation in your resurrection. They would be classed somewhere as a deviant. That's a fact because it's outside the temple retrospect. It's outside the determination of the Sanhedrin or the Sadducees or the scribe. Anyone got notebooks in here? You can see that my declaration to you is in the immediacy, and it has nothing to do with the drama you think is going on at all. If you are in your own spatial temporal reference, what possible difference would it make if you're going to have an experience of Jesus Christ? The practice is obviously to have you stay in the attention of that association rather than finding a spatial reference as a solution. I'm going to take one more step here to see if you can hear this. Obviously, each time of you in space-time formulates an establishment that represents your security. All human beings do this. You have built a house, albeit on clay. But you have built a house that justifies your associations with yourself. That is in fact what civilization is. That's why cities are built where you can come together in commerce or participation or worship or whatever you do. You need a spatial reference. The first 3 miracles of Jesus demonstrate your non-need because, first of all, the miracle can occur anywhere in time, and second, it can occur anywhere in space. So here you are as a human being with a home that you must establish as your home. I will tell you it's not your home. I will read you in the course where it says, this is not your home. This is the Great Lesson 182. Somewhere in you, though you build this home, and though you use it as an establishment of you, it's not where you are from. At the very minimum, you ought to get back to Eden, back inside. You are out east of Eden, in the land of Nod. This is not your home. The establishment of the temple is the security of the laws of man. That's just a fact of the matter. And the case of Judea. And in fact, all original political systems are connected to spiritual purposes. They rapidly digress into the political intent, but they inevitably begin with the admission of a power that's going to give them particular privileges over their enemy. This is the tribal Jehovah. It's the God who speaks incessantly in the Old Testament. God is always giving advice and telling you all sorts of things that you ought to do. Jesus' God doesn't speak at all, except to say, this is my beloved Son, in whom I'm well pleased. Matthew 3:17, Matthew 17:5. That's the total statement of God in the New Testament. It's in you. He lets you be the judge of yourself in relationship with your sonship. I'm reading this right out of John. His first miracle happens telepathically, and his reputation is growing a little bit. He doesn't baptize. If you would like to read about it, it's in John 4. He doesn't baptize, but he apparently is baptizing with Spirit. He doesn't baptize with water. But apparently people are hearing him and undergoing experiences. As soon as that begins to spread abroad, there's a great deal of suspicion because each association wants to be justified. That wants to justify that happening within their own system of purpose. They could not. And that's the great dilemma of my whole mind. How can I show you that there are no terms for you to become whole, since you need the necessity of religion or your temple based on your laws that have given you the integrity of your establishment? Thou shalt not. Thou shalt not. Don't do this, don't do that. Whatever you do, I will be the judge of that. I will lay out the laws for you in great detail, right down to it. If it's light patch, it's okay. If it turns dark, it's leprosy. That's all in your Old Testament. Here's a teaching that says, no, you are going to be whole-minded. All you need do is love the Lord thy God with all of your heart, your mind and soul. He is going to begin to dare to teach that. Is that a defiance of the establishment? Yes, you might as well say yes. Of course it's a defiance. What he actually says is, and I'm telling it you flatly, there is no necessity for you to participate in the establishment at all. Go ahead and shake your head or do whatever you want. I'm just telling you what he says, and all he ever said from the beginning to the end was that if you will believe me, you will rise with me. As I rise, we come from the same place. In direct sentences, he says, we all came from heaven, and we're here, and we're all going home together. And you sit there and say, I don't know how I can ever understand that. Now I'm going to offer you the solution of Jesus Christ. It's in you. Now, while you may resent the solution, somewhere finally you are going to have to admit that the solution is not outside of you. That's the teaching. The proof of that would be that the solution would be in your mental attributes of your association with yourself. There's no sense in trying to separate your mind from what you are, albeit you're going to have to undergo an experience of enlightenment. But the necessity to discover heaven is in you. Minds communicate. Here's an association who comes to Jesus. He's a well-known public figure, John 4:49. And he says, boy, you're doing a lot of healing around here. There seems to be something happening. I've got a son over here who is sick and dying. Jesus looks at him and he says, he's okay. He's well. That's kind of a mistake. You have to be a little careful with that. Can you hear that? What occurred was that there was a flash of that understanding in that association that literally healed that. Those of you who would like to know, in the last week or so, that's happening a lot. Minds communicate. Bodies don't communicate. Just because you're not healed doesn't mean that some of your faculties aren't being healed. That's a great lesson of Jesus, that you're teaching this from afar. Everything is working despite you. Everything you have, every time you have a divine thought, you are healing. Isn't it time you looked at yourself as being responsible for that healing? Sure enough. Does he report that? How would he not? How would he not say, here's a guy that just thought healing, and he was healed. What did he do? Nothing. When they asked him how he did it, he said he did it through God. What? He said he healed through God. You're surprised that that's not acceptable? You're not acceptable. You're not accepting that I heal through God. If you were, you would be well. Class? You say to me, yeah, but how are you really doing it? Are you a Methodist or what? From that moment on, the temple is out to kill him. I'm doing John here. From that moment on, he dares to say he heals directly. He has a direct contact with God. Does anyone here have a direct contact with God? Raise your hand. Gee, You are so suspicious of me, you don't even admit that you have got a direct contact. How the hell am I going to heal you? If you need an establishment to heal you, you could never get well, because establishment is the denial of your direct contact with God. For goodness sake. You're getting me excited. I was really surprised nobody raised their hand. You're just sitting there. You just got a demonstration of how fearful you are of admitting the power of God. It's absolutely amazing. You crouch down for fear that the healing will occur. The sickness is the restriction within your own mind. Yet I see you sitting over there. Would you like to be healed through God? All you would have to say is yes, and you would be healed. I suppose you would have to mean it. Are you suspicious of this? You have every right to be suspicious of the miracle, because it comes about for no reason. It comes about because you ask for it. That's a double teaching. First, it comes about because God is perfect and whole. Second, it comes because you ask for it and are willing to accept it. This is chapter 5 of John. All whole minds, and I'm going to use myself because obviously I know who I am, will recognize that what they are offering is objectionable to the world. That's not true because I say, it's true because it's true. The more that you cannot explain me, the more determined you will be to kill me. I might as well go right to what Jesus says in the course. Jesus says, "You are crucifying me all the time," which is a great way to teach it. If you've progressed to the point where you can see that you're killing yourself, I was going to do a lesson that says that you are the Christ and the Christ is with you because he is risen. Jesus will say to you, "I am risen, yet I'm with you always until the end of the world. And I'm representing for you your Christhood if you will allow me to do that. But I'm not different than you except in time." Your determination not to accept this is what is causing the disease and sickness. Those of you who for the first time are going to be willing to accept this is an indication of the progression that has occurred within you individually of the offering of this uncompromising solution. Simply because I'm telling you there is no solution outside yourself, and simply you in your own establishment are determined that the solution must be in your own cause and effect relationship. This is the entire teaching of me. It is not in your cause and effect relationship. Your establishment, separate from God, is an active determination not to be whole and in heaven. You have to keep it extremely active. But I'm telling you, in that activity of denial is the peace of God for which you search. Second miracle. So in the second miracle, where the nobleman's son was healed, it was mind healing. Time and space meant nothing. The nobleman went back and found his son well. He even had his servant check the time, just like some of you are doing now. You mean, was it about 3 in the afternoon that I said that to you in class? Wow. When he heard that Jesus was come out of Judea into Galilee, he went unto him and besought him that he would come down and heal his son, for he was at the point of death. Then said Jesus unto him, Except ye see signs and wonders, ye will not believe. This is his first determination, that he's going to be willing to demonstrate what he can do with his mind. It really shouldn't have to be necessary, since he was standing with the guy saying, I am the Christ. Had the guy been willing to accept that? So now we have the need for miracles. The lovely thing about John is that that's exactly what he says. And he has him say it. Except ye see signs and wonders, ye will not believe. The nobleman said unto him, Sir, come down ere my child die. What he actually says is, if you will come into that association, he will live. That was a confession of faith. That was a confession in his mind. Come down. He was willing to admit that this association was harvesting what he hadn't sown. He said, come down ere my child die. He says, yes. He admits that he needs the demonstration of it. The question is not that. The question is, if I give you a demonstration, will you accept that it comes from God rather than from me in my association with you in your attempt to justify me in your temple of crap? I have no intention of associating with you, with your mind, in your own association. All Jesus says in here is, my power does not come from me. It comes from God. You want the power to come from me in some relationship with the world? Healing is not of the world, it is of God. How did you get that contact? That's obviously going to be the denial of his saviorship. That's going to be the page after page in here. How did you do that? What method did you use? What tribe are you from? And you say, my power comes from God. Be careful. Why? That would make me the savior of the world. If it's true that my power comes from God, I would be the savior of the world and heal through the grace and love of God. This gets so simple, I don't know why you wouldn't say hallelujah. You are afraid of your own power. You are literally afraid to take the power of God and stand up and say, I am as God created me. Obviously, that's all you would have to do. As long as you can justify the association, you can find a form of requirement. You've got a Sanhedrin that will say, did he go more than 12 paces from the temple? The Sanhedrin has got it so tight that you can't move. You can't do anything. Everything that you do must be justified in the rigidity of that association. That's just a particular kind of mind. Sadducees are different. Scribes are different. Zealots say that Israel will be the king. Let's fight for that. What you will see in this world is everything that is in the temple. There will be nothing, political or religious, that is not demonstrated in the New Testament. Do you see? I have the power to heal, and you say to me, where does that power come from? God. How do you know that? Why would I have to know it? Oh, you mean you have faith in it? I don't understand. If you need to have faith in it, as the nobleman demonstrated, now we're into faith. Jesus, I believe that you can heal. Does it work? Well, let's see. The nobleman went unto him and besought him that he would come down and heal his son, for he was at the point of death. Then Jesus said to him, except ye see signs and wonders, ye will not believe. Except ye see signs and wonders, ye will not believe. The nobleman said unto him, Sir, come down ere my child die. And Jesus said unto him, Go thy way, thy son liveth. John 4:47-50. Can you hear that? What it is that we share a thought of your mother being healed. Does that work? Sure. Does it work through you? Sure. Will it work through me? Sure. If you want me to demonstrate it, I will. Do I have unique powers you don't have? Probably. That way you can kill me later on. That way, when I offer you the power, you can deny me. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here at all. How the hell could you be here if you recognized that you are the only living Son of God? The Course has taught us that. You can see that healing is occurring. So here we have now, following Jesus' baptism, the mystical changing of the wine. We have his declaration to Nicodemus, and now we have his first demonstration of healing, which is literally performed with his mind. What does he say here after that? And the man believed the word that Jesus had spoken unto him, and he went his way. And as he was going down, his servants met with him, and told him, saying, Thy son liveth. He goes, wow. Then acquired he of them the hour when he began to amend. And they said unto him, yesterday, at the 7th hour, the fever left him. And he says, holy mackerel. John 4:52. Now he's in trouble because he's going to have to explain how he did that. Why does he have to explain it? Because it was a miracle that there's no explanation for, and that's not acceptable. The idea is that mind heals, that the universe is mind, and that as a man thinketh, so will be the result, Sermon on the Mount. If he thinks healing, he will be healed. For those of you who are having initial experiences of your own baptism, of the ordeal that you experience, as he is going to experience, it can't possibly be different because this is the story of your resurrection. This story of Jesus has to be your story. You could tell it different ways. You could say, well, it took me longer or whatever. I'm not at all concerned about that. I'm declaring to you that salvation is contained within you and in your own mind. So suddenly here's an occurrence of mind healing. So the Father knew that it was the same hour in which Jesus said unto him, thy son liveth, and himself believed, and his whole house. And this is again the second miracle that Jesus did when he come out of Judea into Galilee. John 5:53-54.